All right, so let's open up this regular MSRAC meeting for March 8th. Must be close to
9:01.
9:01. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the February 9th, 2024 regular meeting. Any motions?
Second.
Okay, that's Steve and Norma. Joanne, you must have found something.
I was wondering.
Yeah, I was just about to tell you, I found a small typo.
Okay. Okay,
On
where?
On the second page, it's on the second page of the notes. It's regarding 65 Main Street workshop. The first sentence of the top is the topic. The January workshop reiterates the phasing must accommodate for vehicular access during construction.
Oh, yes, it says curing.
Uh-huh.
I gotcha.
I just have an eye for that. I'm sorry.
Sure do.
Thank you.
Yep.
This, any other comments on the minutes?
Nope, they're good.
All right, then I guess all in favor of approving the minutes with that correction?
Aye.
That's unanimous. Item 3, correspondence.
None that isn't relevant to an agenda item.
All right, then item 4, citizens' comments. There's no citizens in town hall. I don't see any in the Zoom room. So move on to number 5, committee business, and get an update from Tira on the community investment fund grant application.
Those are supposed to be announced at the end of this month. There is a meeting of the board. They just published the date for, I believe, next Tuesday, March 12th. That meeting will be where they make, I believe, their internal confirmations of who is, like, it's not debating. The debate happens in private. So once the minutes from that are posted, I should know regardless of when the announcement's made, but
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah.
They post the minutes and you can like sneak in and see that.
That seems to be the case last time because I was able to figure out before they announced that we didn't get it, but it was, who knows, maybe that was coincidental. But anyway, I'll start prowling the website again next week. We'll see. We'll see.
Excellent. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, all of them.
All right, then item B, 6. Oops. Looking at the minutes. Still the same order though. Item B, 65 Main Street workshops.
Well, we had the February workshop last week. Yeah, last week. Saw the reviewed plan. I can pull them up. For those who weren't there, bear with me. This is going to open slow. Oh, that opened faster than I thought. One first. Oh, you guys can see that all right in here, yeah? Joanne, can you see that okay?
Yep, perfect.
Okay. Yeah, so there were some revisions based on the January meeting. Most of them fairly simple. It took out the fire pits that we called out as problematic for public safety. Took out the line of small shade trees that was here because I had told them that that is too close to the neighbor's property line, and I'm pretty sure they've pulled a building permit to expand onto this, so that would be very much an encroachment. There were some changes here with the cisterns. I think they added this underground cistern. Oh, here's Bernie. Added this underground cistern and shuffled some stuff around in this outdoor kitchen area, which generated a lot of discussion about the outdoor demonstration and service kitchen and performance area, which as Steve and I have both noted multiple times, is not an amphitheater, no matter how many times they say this. Um, yeah, right. Yeah. But you know, that's sort of a distinction without a difference in terms of its function here. The consensus there seemed to be that rather than have these pieces of equipment or areas be fixed, that it's better for them to be more flexible so that you can, for example, turn the viewing around into the lawn area if you wanted to do a performance, a bigger performance or something. I believe that a lot of this planting immediately to the east of the parking area is going to get scaled back, like maybe these, because when I showed the plans to Jamie, you know, he correctly observed that there was no really good access point for their emergency ATV if there was ever an incident down in the other area. So we may as well look at that.
Plus, I think somebody had pointed out at the previous meeting, snow storage.
Well, snow storage, yeah, so snow storage was accommodated for, they had a little line of plantings on the north edge of the driveway that was taken out. So now the snow can be pushed into that open lawn area. So the main concern here was the safety. So I would say that this is probably, and we haven't seen his updated drawing yet, this is probably what's going to come out there so that they can get their ATV thing down in here if somebody, for example, should have an accident way down here. We did talk about all this area quite a bit, actually, how to enhance its public function. For example, Steve has been very vocal about, you know, saying we need to not just look at this as a discrete project, but look at its relationship to the rest of Riverside Park. So here, for example, is an area where nothing is shown. Is this an area where we can show prep work for a future footbridge across? I think we had discussed maybe in this area also adding space for recreational fishermen. You know, that kind of thing. Substantively, the plan was much the same as the first one, but they definitely did accommodate for all of our comments. And they are working on an updated draft right now based on the feedback from this session. And I expect to have that in the next 2 weeks, along with at least a first draft of their final report to take into the March workshop. So chugging right along. I'll leave this up. If anybody wants to look at anything in particular, I can zip around.
Can you zoom it out?
You want it smaller or larger?
I guess smaller. I was wondering exactly how it lined up with the stuff across the street. But that might not be on this plan.
Yeah,
It's
this
not.
is
Okay, so it
the
doesn't
edge.
line up with like, I mean, I guess I could look at Google Earth or anything, but like where it is in relationship to the gazebo or the other culvert.
It's
The gazebo,
top end, you're about at the turnaround.
Okay,
is it that far up at the
Yeah.
turnaround? Oh, I wouldn't have thought it was quite that far up. Yeah, okay.
Do some Google Maps.
Well, I believe Google Maps.
can I zoom a little bit more north on it?
There isn't too much more north on this,
Okay.
but
Because that is interesting, connecting the two sides of the river. I mean, especially even if people just want to go for a longer walk. So right now, I guess they would cross at the bridge near the library, but then you'd have to go out in the street because you can't connect there.
Yeah.
It's getting a pedestrian bridge across the French River. That's a huge.
yeah, well, it's
with the
definitely,
floodplain and everything.
it's definitely not in the scope of this project, but
But it would be,
Plan.
start there.
Yeah. yeah, so, you know, just to show it as possibilities, because
Yeah. Yeah.
it all sets it up for future action. So earlier this week, Valerie Clark actually sent me a link to a private foundation grant through the Kubota company that is currently open. I think so that the way it's organized is they're going to give out a total of 100 grants, 2 in each state, I think. That actually might be more than it is, but whatever it is, they're giving out a fixed number of grants. And in each region or group of awards, there's going to be one first prize and one second prize. So it's a $50,000 award or it's a $10,000 award. And it's definitely for community improvement projects like this. And because it's Kubota, it's, you know, heavy into projects that favor landscaping and site work. So I wasn't going to start looking at any implementation grants for this project until the whole schmear was complete for obvious reasons. But the form is so simple. And we will have the final plan before their due date from Wayne with the cost estimates. So I should be able to identify a piece to submit for. One of the hitches is that although they do say municipalities can apply, it is very clearly skewed towards 501c3s, but ECCD has already said that they will be the lead on it if we can identify something to put in for. So, you know, maybe you get it, maybe you won't get it, but I know I can write a good one and we'll probably have 10 times the background information of any other project. So certainly worth taking.
Great visuals too, that'll really.
Yeah, great visuals, great narrative, strong community participation, narrative. So worth a try. I don't know if I mentioned in the last meeting, I may have, I took about 20 minutes to send in an application to the Lowe's Charitable Foundation. Because again, it was a super simple form. It was essentially a letter of interest form. And then at some point they'll let people know if they want more information for another $300,000 on the reno on the building. Again, we'll see. I'm sure it's super competitive and they have 1 million submissions. But again, we've got so much background information. It works in our favor. So that's where that is. Any other questions on the 65 Main progress?
What's the date of the next meeting, Tara?
It's the 4th Wednesday, which off the top of my head is the 27th.
27th.
Yes, thank you, Joanne. Oh, I've got a calendar sitting right next to me. Yeah, it's the 27th. And we should have his drafts, his penultimate drafts in time for everybody to at least receive them and skim them so they can have comments for the meeting. And then we'll move on to the education unit.
All right. And I guess we can move on to ongoing committee business. The first item, as always, is the River Mill.
So, aside from the endless document chase, which does narrow every week a little bit, except for that one critical group of documents from the same person. Pam, did I talk to you about this last week?
Yes.
Yeah, I did. The developer's attorney sent me an email to let us know that the Connecticut Department of Labor has thrown a monkey wrench, not in our project specifically, but in every brownfield project. So, and what happened was there was apparently a local news article in some town in Fairfield County where a developer who was a public-private awardee along with whatever municipality it was, made a similar inquiry that we did to the Department of Labor about how much of the project prevailing wage would apply to. when we previously made that inquiry, we were informed, and I've got the paper trail, that it would apply to the work funded by the grant. So the vertical construction, the actual like renovation, once the remediation was done, because that was private money, was not subject to prevailing wage requirements. DOL's position on that has evolved so that they are now saying any project that incorporates state money is subject to prevailing wage requirements from start to finish. So that developer in Fairfield said, thanks, but no thanks. We don't want it. We're killing the project.
The question is there any chance to go through legislatures?
We're already, yeah. So I immediately, wrote a letter to Benu, at DECD, forwarded it directly to Senator Flexer. I haven't had a follow-up conversation with her yet. So in one sense, the good news is it's not just us, right? It's everybody. Every single pending contract that doesn't already have terms established, in a closed grant agreement is in the same boat. And as I was saying to Pam and Janet, and as I said, Tuesday in that real estate networking thing that I go to, brownfields are different, right? I am philosophically aligned with labor. I believe in living wages. I believe in prevailing wages when state money is in play. But this is not all state money. It's private money. And these guys have the ability to come and go wherever they please. And since the entire reason that the public-private partnerships exist is because the state recognizes that they are beyond the capacity of public funds to handle, then you have to treat them that way. It is the textbook definition of penny wise and pound foolish. It's so dumb.
The brownfields cleaned up or not.
It's so dumb.
It's so dumb. It's so dumb.
So, everybody's in a fuffle about it. And they're all the private developers are saying the same thing. We'll have to walk.
Out of Connecticut.
We'll have to get out of Connecticut, which will leave us no better off than we were.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Bernie.
Oh, good. What is prevailing wage? Is it different for different areas of the state? Or is it
It is.
uniform, like a state, like minimum wage is uniform?
No, it is different from area to area. If you go on, I assume Department of Labor's site in the state, you can pull a document that shows what it is actually town by town, although within counties, it ends up being the same. It's higher enough, right? It's setting everything essentially at a union scale or slightly above a union scale, depending on where you are. So the other consequence that this has, and this is one that clearly the state gives no consideration to, that part of the reason they want to initiate or require prevailing wages is because they want people working on projects in Connecticut, which assumes that they are in Connecticut, from Connecticut, to make living wages. Great. Most of the contractors in this part of the state lack the administrative capacity to do the paperwork that prevailing wage requires. It's not that they don't want to pay their workers more. It's that they don't have the internal knowledge and capacity to jump through all those hoops. So for a town like Thompson, from which you could walk to Massachusetts in about 15 minutes, that means that if those prevailing wage requirements come down, you've got more than even odds that all that work flows out of the state anyway. It's so self-defeating. Perini will come right in from Framingham. So yeah, we've got a staff of thousands in our administrative offices. We can do that, sure. And nobody from Connecticut will benefit on the job. Yeah, I've already told Pam if it gets down to the point where somebody needs to put on a little angry hornet hat and go stand in front of the the legislature and speak on that, I'm happy to do it. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, because it's like not only our brownfields not getting cleaned up, but the redevelopment that comes after it, that's the whole purpose.
The whole thing.
Whether it be residential, commercial,
That's just one department not talking to another, really. That happens, that happens in the state all of the time.
Well, Department of Labor is a department that has the ability to flex, and they're flexing. And that's just like Department of yeah, just like Department of Transportation is a department that, has flex compared to some of the other ones that are more fuzzy.
So Tara, what kind of a time frame are we talking about? Are we just standing still now with Gumpert or what?
Well, we're not standing still any more than we have been standing still. We have, this is a new hurdle. The prior hurdle, which is preventing us from closing the grant, remains in place, which is getting the current actual owner to sign the documents that he's promised to sign. Now, Pam and I have talked about this. We both think, we assigned that tax lien. He has the legal right to foreclose, and we think he should do it, but he's got to make the decision to do it. It's not just leverage, it's an actual thing that can be done. I can't force him to do it, but I don't know. I assume that I'm going to be speaking with him soon. I talk more through Pam than I do to him directly, but he pops in every once in a while. The last time he did pop in, I believe I had floated that, like, you should probably consider, and he seemed a little more receptive to it, but his nature seems to be to want to do it through normal channels, which I understand, but this is going on for all of us. So that's where we are. Fantastic.
yeah, I know. That's
It's
crazy.
crazy that collectively, your mayors and your first selectmen in those communities where these projects are going to be killed, can't have some pull. That has to be the way to go,
But they're gonna have to all band together and go down.
right?
Yeah, the Brownfield Working Group, which is separate from any of the Brownfield land banks, although Wayne is on it, Ann Catino, I think, is the president of it. She's out of Halloran and Sage. Everybody working on these projects at every level agrees, except the Department of Labor. So
Does that come down to one individual making these decisions?
a
Is that
commissioner, maybe, I don't
a
know,
director or whatever they call
a
them,
commissioner.
commissioner?
Effectively, maybe, but I'm sure they have internal dialogues as well and legal opinions and,
Maybe the union lobby is equally strong on the other side.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm sure there's all kinds of factors in play. And also, as is the case through so much of the state of Connecticut, you could probably get away with that in Fairfield County, right? This one developer balked, but there's probably some developers out there who pencil it out and they still end up making enough of a profit in the end that they cave, or just, take it as a cost of doing business. The further away you get from that center of wealth, the harder that is to overcome. He's got to be profitable on this once it's built. If we're pulling his profit away from him before he even puts a shovel in the ground, why would he stay? Anyway, I am reasonably optimistic that it will resolve favorably because everybody is in the same boat, right? So at some point, this effort has to coordinate, and that has to have some substantive effect. Because if not, we all may as well just pack it up and go. Just knock everything down.
There has to be pressure that's gotta come from the governor's office
Yeah,
to rectify this, especially with everything that we've done since this whole project has started. The people that have been involved, the money,
Mhm.
the on board with economic development and everything. To let this all of a sudden just die.
yeah.
They've
It's
invested so much money.
short-sighted. It's just short-sighted.
It is.
So cooler, reasonable heads have to, but you still start pushing and get it done.
Yeah, and I presume that those reasonable heads will prevail, but how long that takes and continues to gum this up, I can't tell you. Right? I do think it'll come out to the right conclusion because the alternative is unthinkable. But you know, the speed of government, it's like a cart with square wheels.
But we have to push because these projects, vacant buildings and stuff that are all on hold are at a very high risk.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Anyway, just another obstacle to clear, and we'll clear it. So,
And the reason why I really appreciate you and Amy coming to these meetings and knowing all these issues. I mean, not that Sarah doesn't tell you behind the scenes, but
Did you reach out to
it's still
Gordon?
nice.
not yet. I wanted to talk to May first, because it's her district. And Gordon will support it as well, but I don't actually think he has any of those projects directly in his district,
How
so
long ago did you reach out?
a week at the most. Actually, I can tell you.
No, I was just.
I think it was actually a week ago today. I can tell you because I sent it or a text before I emailed her. Yeah, a week ago today.
All right, well, definitely keep us posted on that.
No, I will.
If you need to march on Hartford.
Yep.
So I guess we should move along to 6:30 Riverside Drive. Any tires kicking there? Being kicked there, I guess I should say.
No, except again, also last Friday, I'm pretty sure I saw Andy Scott walking around on site as I was driving into work. Somebody was there. And now I've only seen him once backlit on a Zoom call, but it was definitely no one from here. So who knows what he was doing there? He certainly didn't, whoever it was, they didn't come into town hall to say, hey, can we talk about my property? And I don't know what he would have been trying to accomplish. I have not heard another thing from the attorney who called me when he had the bright idea to donate his mess to the town to clean up. And I mean, he was a nice enough guy, the attorney, but I actually laughed out loud at him. Like, no, I don't think so.
He may have just not been there since the tower came down and was coming to look at the tower.
Yeah, I mean, he may have. I mean, that's a long drive for him just to come look at a mess that he's responsible for cleaning up that he's not going to clean up, but
Right.
Whatever. I never did get in touch with Peter Lang. I totally forgot after the last meeting, so I'll try to remember after this one.
Okay.
Janet mentioned that Peter Lang mentioned that the Panema Mill developer might be interested. Now, the Panema Mill developer might not know that the tower collapsed, so.
And you might also be interested in the river mill. I know John's in it, but maybe even a partnership or find some financial thing. I don't know.
Yeah, well, all of it is. Anything related to the river mill right now is just like, I don't even want to, until I work through these things, but, and the other person I can get back in touch with is Andy Camolo and see if they might still be interested, since we have assigned a tax lien once, now we know we can do it again. And his company, that Manchester group, certainly has the capacity to navigate the processes. And they were ready to buy it. And it was the owner's behavior that caused them to say, this is not worth our trouble. So that was that. Yep.
All right, well, thanks for that update. Main Street reconstruction.
Well, that's the CIF grant, so.
Right, but one thing I will say about the lots of money is there was a Putnam sidewalk project that they didn't have money and that is now being funded. So they are slowly getting more money. And I just happened to be lucky to be on a conference call with Jim Larkin and Barney Sine and found out that Plainfield is theoretically next in line for lots of money, except they're having problems with their project because I think it's under the interstate and there's too much red tape for DOT. So if you're ever talking to Jim Larkin And we still might want to say like, hey, if that Plainfield project's on hold, we have a designed shovel-ready project.
Well, after we find out about CIF, that may be a strategy to take
Yeah.
then, because, I mean, we were, I think, third in line. I think it was Putnam, Plainfield, and then us, although we never got a formal notice of commitment to fund. And we haven't closed the first one formally. We still have the retainage on the table because NC has not completed their CHRO requirements.
Hmm.
I think they filled out their forms and they were told they had to snail mail them. And I have not heard anything since then. So that's another thing I'll probably have to follow up on soon. Anyway, so, you know, all that means to me is we've moved up from 4 to 5 years out to maybe 3 years out. But-
Maybe unless Plainfield can't take advantage of the program and
Maybe.
just slide into their slot, so could be on deck. We don't even know it.
I will, if we don't get the CIF grant, I will follow right up with that, so. Okay,
Anybody have anything else on that one? So Blaine Road intersection.
It's not really done, it's still waiting for the striping, but other than that, I think it's done, right?
yeah, our work would be done except for that. ECCD is still coming back in the spring to plant the northern shoulder. Actually,
Right.
Mora might be coming in before we're done. Well, we'll probably be done before she comes in, because she's actually at 65 Main today with somebody from the American Chestnut Foundation. So when she comes in, I'll ask what their timeline is for planting that shoulder.
I know a couple months ago, I asked about like just the, turf establishment, like, looks like they have topsoil, but the area around the bioretention area is just topsoil. So it needs to be planted. And I think you said that NC was done, they were off. So, I mean, I don't know if our Public Works Department, I think it does look like all the topsoil is spread. It looks like it just needs to be maybe seeded, fertilized and hay mulched, but otherwise that's gonna be highly unattractive and
Muddy,
it's like the road shoulder.
So I guess we can talk to Joe and see what they're.
This is a matter of timing as far as ECC and what they were doing. We didn't want to infringe on.
Right.
I'm not positive of the work they're doing, but we can certainly plant some seed and.
So I'll get that. I mean, I should be able to get that information from Maura today, so.
And if they're not going in the south side, then the south side.
And they are not planting the south side. They're only planting the northeast.
We'll just add it to the list for the spring.
That would be great,
As we're getting closer and closer.
right?
Quick.
Yeah, and I mean, the good thing is it looks like it was all topsoil and raked and everything, so it's, if you can get it before all the weeds
Now-
start to
now's
grow.
the time.
Mhm.
so what's gonna happen on the south side?
Nothing in the short term, which is kind of fine because anything that happens on the south side is going to be subject to being mucked up once somebody actually goes in to develop 6:30.
Well, it should be at least seeded with grass or something.
Well, that's what Janet was just saying.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, the seeding on both shoulders, the actual planting, grain garden plantings are only on the north.
Do you have anything else on the intersection? Okay, then I guess we can move on to Swanson Park.
And that's CIF grant.
Okay. And let's move on to other/new committee business.
Anybody? Surely somebody has something.
The table.
I mean, this is all gonna start moving as these grants and different things come out, so it's gonna be.
We should know by the April meeting for sure about the CIF grant. That
Yes,
would open up a lot of,
yes, their timeline has been very consistent because they're doing two rounds a year, so they don't have a lot of wiggle room to drag their notification period out. I think they were behind by like a week on the public notice last time, but I was able to find out by finding the board of directors minutes what they actually did. So,
investigative work behind the scenes. And so in item 6, member comments. Any member comments from the Zoom room?
I'm good.
yes, for whatever it's worth, EDC is going to be at their next meeting reviewing, interviewing the top 3 responders to the marketing campaign for the corridor development district and the downtown mill district. We had 7 proposals, 4 from in-state, 3 from out of state. You know, at varying levels of fancy versus boilerplate. So we have narrowed it down to our 3 finalists. I expect that they will make the decision after those 3 interviews at that meeting probably, and then that campaign to actually draw attention to this area that we've been doing all this work for will commence. So there is more work happening, not just the infrastructure
What's
grant.
the budget for that consultant?
10,000, or excuse me, 9,999.
Wasn't one was for $10,000, so we have to kick them out automatically.
Well, we just tell them to purge $1, right?
Yes, yeah. Well, we could all kick in 20 cents. All the members.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think. I feel like there was something else I wanted to bring up, but maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. I lose track. Huh?
Tara, how about, meant to bring this up at the EDC. Brooklyn is now going to be developing an EDC commission in Brooklyn.
I saw that. I guess they had one previously and they disbanded it.
Yeah, like 6 or 7 years ago, yeah.
Right, yeah. So they're putting it back together, which is interesting because I didn't think they'd hired an economic development director yet, but maybe they did.
No, I don't think, I think it was, they were just looking for volunteers to do a committee. That's what they had. That's what I saw.
Yeah.
Interesting.
We're going through the branding phase. I did get a call from somebody from Brooklyn who was on the former board.
All right. You guys want to give us an update on the Teague building? I mean, that is in the area of interest.
Well, it's, we just recently got a cost estimate and it's approaching
How many?
3 million.
Soup to nuts.
That's everything. So, that's what they needed to start applying for grants. So between the sketches that we have, the site plan, Scott did, and this cost estimate, I think they have enough to get started for applying for grants.
Oh, good. Well, depending on what happens with this CIF grant, like I say, I believe that they've expanded. It was originally just going to be 8 rounds. And I think that they've sort of made that indefinite. I mean, at some point they'll stop doing it, but we are still a qualifying community. So if we're able to get through this project, that I am perfectly able to submit again. You know, it's got an obvious tie into the things that are important in the program: community, economic development, you know, supporting affordability and in living. So I will keep you posted.
All right, well, this was a really good turnout. I like to see so many people in person, but it's nice to have the Zoom room people too. So thanks, everybody, for coming. I guess our meeting is adjourned,
at
Okay.
9:40.
9:40.
See you next time.
Have a good
Okay.
weekend, everyone.
Take
Yep.
care.
Bye now.